Imagine this. You're a small manufacturing company located in the heart of Buffalo, with aspirations to one day become a global player. So how are you supposed to achieve that goal without having the resources nor the connections to do so? Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Quinn Miguel, and on behalf of Lighthouse Consulting, I'm here with my colleagues today, Angelo Pereira, Ashley Harold, and Bill Hyun. And today we bring you the World Link, taking your manufacturing from local to global. Now, what the World Link is going to be able to do is going to be essentially establishing a platform for World Trade Center organizations to essentially connect all of their various different connections together, whether it be individual businesses, business people, trade associations, government agencies, public-private sector, you name it. And essentially allowing them to have a hub to share information and also leverage upon one another for mutual growth. So before we get into what the World Link is, you've asked us to analyze what kind of different barriers that we need to identify and address in essentially deterring us from long-term growth. What is the biggest factor and how are we gonna get over that hurdle? Now, what we've established here is we narrowed it down to all the various different problems that we might have, such as price sensitivity, having consumers that aren't necessarily as tech savvy, lower event attendance even after the pandemic, given this new norm and things necessarily staying more virtual than in person, a reduction in sponsorship revenue, and even businesses becoming platform-based. So when analyzing all of these various different problems and narrowing it down to one key issue that was most detrimental towards future growth, we've established that businesses becoming platform-based was a problem that we had to tackle in our plan here today. Now, what do we mean by businesses becoming platform-based? This essentially means that businesses are necessarily not focused on just providing that benefit to one consumer. Businesses are now looking towards establishing themselves further and connecting two parties together so that they could both have equal, mutually beneficial exchange. As we'll touch on a little bit more in our presentation, as you will see, this has been a problem that we are now looking to address with the World Link. With the World Link, we'd be able to take going from local to going global. Now, to touch on a little bit more on the World Link, its features, its benefits, and the problems that it addresses, I would love to invite my colleague, Ashley Harold, to give you a deeper dive on what that looks like.
Thanks so much, Sequinder. So before we get into what this World Link platform actually looks like, let me walk you through what it actually does. So essentially the main goal of World Link is to facilitate trade across members of the World Trade Center of Buffalo, Niagara. And then once we have facilitated this platform and perfected it, we are then going to launch it to other World Trade Centers as well, which would then connect our stakeholders on a global scale. This is essentially a new information system that would be integrated with the Niagara board, and it will allow new customers and clients to be able to trade back and forth with one another. So the main advantage to this is it offers flexibility. So we're able to operate during and post-pandemic just because the online world, as my colleague had mentioned, is going to still be here even when we return to the new normal. We need to be ready for that. And this plan, World Link, will help take our customers from local to global through these international relationships. So now that I've told you a little bit about what World Link is, let me tell you what it can do for the World Trade Center, what it can do for the customers as well. So it essentially leverages the network. So we already know that the World Trade Center has established a very high class quality network of existing businesses and customers. Now, we already know that they interact with each other through events and other things. However, with the pandemic, this hasn't been a reality. World Link is here to bring that back. We are able to connect all of our customers virtually and help them facilitate business deals with one another while still creating that community feeling. So this would create essentially a point of differentiation for the World Trade Center. What this means is that we will be able to retain our current customers and clients while also attracting new ones because of this exclusive network. This network available on the World Link, where consumers can buy and sell their goods to one another, is only available to the current members. This creates the exclusivity, which creates a demand for it. People want to be a part of an exclusive group that would help them easily compare prices, products, and other logistical information about some suppliers that they might want to inquire upon. This essentially allows customers of the World Trade Center to operate their business more effectively. When all this is happening, obviously the World Trade Center is going to be receiving more money and more income from this because of the new additional customers that we are expecting to be receiving. So it's ultimately a win-win situation for both. On one hand, we're able to take care of the customers of the World Trade Center and ensure that we are supporting them in all facets possible in order for them to be able to receive and buy and sell their goods internationally as well as in the Niagara Buffalo market. In addition to buying and selling, we're also allowing for other customers such as legal fees and lawyers and other items such as that will help facilitate that trade within this website, all embedded together. So essentially what WorldLink is it's a one-stop shop for all of the World Trade Center's customers to be able to come together and buy and sell their goods on an international scale. Now that I've set the scene, I want to pass it over to my colleague Bill, who's going to go in a little bit more depth as to what this website actually looks like.
Thank you so much, Ashley. To reiterate the focus and the importance of WorldLink, I want to bring your attention to this quote. In the 21st century, the supply chain is no longer the central aggregator of business value. What a company owns matters less than what it can connect. And I want you to really think about it, because when you look at the big companies like Google, like Facebook, like Uber, like Airbnb, what do they have in common? Really think about it. It's a platform-based service. So what exactly does this do? It facilitates exchanges between two or more independent groups, and it develops a scalable network where it gives an interface where users can interact, connect, and most importantly, link together. Sounds familiar, right? That's exactly what the World Trade Center Buffalo Niagara does. They link together businesses with consulting, marketing, research, and everything like that. However, we want to take that one step further for the 64 members of the World Trade Center of Buffalo Niagara and take that next step and bring them from local to global. With the World Link, we want to ask one question. Are you ready to find success beyond domestic markets? Because we are, and we know that the World Trade Center Buffalo Niagara are as well. Essentially, WorldLink is a platform to bring together the 64 businesses in one area to be able to trade, engage, and expand on one platform. It's a seamless, easy, all-in-one platform for all your needs. I'm just going to do a quick walkthrough. At the top there, you see 3 tabs. There's members, there's events, and there's messages. So through the members tabs, all 64 members are listed. You have the ability to filter through, for example, you're looking for industrial equipment. You can filter through those companies and look for the companies that you're looking for. And through the platform, once you click on their name, it actually shows their contact information. It gives you the access and the ability to visit their website, to maybe visit their LinkedIn, to visit their social medias. And that way you really get that aspects and you really get to know the business. You're not just going to the website, you're really engaging yourself in the business and understanding what that company offers and developing that relationship, because at the end of the day, we're all working together. Another tab is the events tabs. It's a tab where you can highlight future events. Perhaps maybe it's future networking events, or maybe even the prestigious 2021 TAP Niagara Canada's Trade Accelerator program that's happening in April, where small to medium businesses would love to attend. And having a tab on this platform would give them that opportunity to really engage and seek and really see these opportunities, as well as the messages tab. COVID-19 has really stripped the ability to interact. No longer are we allowed to meet in person, do those big meetings like World Trade Center is known for. So we really want to, when we thought of this platform, we really wanted to engage factors that really made it social and really made it feel like we're a community. So having the messages tab, you have the ability to message owners, message sales associates, all a part of these companies, and really develop that relationship and communicate on a one-on-one basis. And through this WorldLink program, we're going to be able to help the businesses of World Trade Center Buffalo Niagara go from local to global. Aside from the information delivery system, you also task us to developing a pricing plan that will further happening before, during, and after COVID, which will be my colleague Angela will be going through.
Thanks so much, Bill. So as you know, an idea is only as good as the financials behind it. And with WorldLink, it provides a variety of lucrative opportunities for not only potential sponsors, but also for revenue generating activities. Think of it this way. WorldLink is a hub for world trade and growth. However, in order to facilitate world trade and growth, services such as accounting and lawyers are needed. And so those are some of the key sponsors that we've identified who would love to sponsor their own firm on WorldLink. That provides us with an incredible revenue stream that is going to make up for some of the lost revenue with missed out events. Furthermore, on top of the sponsorship properties that WorldLink enables us to generate, we've also found it to be the best to come up with a program and fee-based service that is attractive to all of our members and also covers costs at the same time. As you know, the main problem with the World Trade Center and some of its revenue generating and sustainability ideas is that you have to purchase a membership plan in order to get some of the incredible services that the World Trade Center has to offer. Now, with set programs, consumers can pick and pay for exactly what they need. For instance, we've narrowed it down to 3 core services that the World Trade Center is incredible at facilitating like marketing, consulting, and the most exciting, data analytics. And so we can see how these different programs will begin to drive revenue as we take a look at our projections. As you can see, the current revenue right now, based on our memberships and our member directory, is approximately over $100,000. So as we can see right now, a good chunk of revenue does come from our memberships, but we've lost a lot of money in potential sponsorships. One way that we can add some extra scalability to this is by adding these projected programs for sales. So as you can see at the bottom with our projected revenue, we see that data analytics is really a service that our customers and our clients want the most. Companies want in-depth market research before they take a dive into another economy that they are maybe unsure of or don't know a lot about. And the World Trade Center can provide that in the form of these packages. And as you can see, based on that, the revenue can grow approximately $27,000 just based on these small estimates and these small potential sales within the first year. These programs also lead to other incredible opportunities for the World Trade Center, as it gives companies and individuals an incentive to become a member. It gives them sort of that first step on the ladder to familiarize themselves with the World Trade Center and what they have to offer. And that will enable them to become a member and then to eventually join WorldLink, which will bring them together on top of the global market. So again, one thing that I want to reiterate, imagine that you are a steel producer who is looking for a key input such as oil in your plant for your lubrication of your parts. One thing that you can do with WorldLink is, and with the help of the World Trade Center and our platform, is be linked with a producer that supplies with you that input. Now, just to give you an idea of what that would look for the sponsorships, if you are a legal firm sponsored on that website, you could now facilitate that transaction, making this a lucrative opportunity for both ourselves in terms of revenue and in terms of our sponsors in terms of their actual revenue generation, making this the best possible route to maximize our sponsorship revenue and to re-attract new customers in terms of program sales. But now that we've gone over the financials, I would like to invite my colleague Sequinder for some final remarks.
Thank you so much, Angelo. Now, before we get to the conclusion, I want to dial it back and center around the mission statement for the World Trade Center of Buffalo, Niagara, which is to help find success beyond one's domestic market. Now, that's exactly what the WorldLink sets to achieve. Essentially allowing all the users of the WorldLink to go beyond the markets that they are currently in. And as we look towards the WorldLink, we've identified the problem, being that businesses are going to be more platform-based. So we've developed the platform, the WorldLink, and we've given all of our members a brand new value add to their membership. Not only that, Within the pricing model, we've also been able to establish a cafeteria style model that will not only be more sustainable for sponsorship, but also our membership revenues as well. And through this, we've been able to create value, have sustainable pricing, and also a sustainable business model set for the World Trade Center in Buffalo, Niagara to have sustainable growth for years to come. Now, I'd like to thank you for your time and listening to our presentation today. And I'd like to call upon my colleagues and open the floor to any questions that you may have for us.
Okay, that's time. So judges, you can turn on your videos and start asking questions.
Hi, I have a question. This is Steve Briggs with Dynabraid. First, great job. Nice presentation. Good job to Brock. No doubt about it. I have a question as relates to the fee model and what you have. I like your phrase of pick and pay approach. I think that can be, a lot of members can kind of pick their path as far as how they pay after they've joined as a member. That I like that a lot. My question is that we belong to a couple of associations that are our company Dynabraid does, where there's manufacturers and there's distributors, and they get together, and any transaction that takes place, that association they handle all the transactions, and they keep a couple percentage points from that transaction as their fee as linking everybody together. Was that a model that you guys considered at all, or would you, based on your research, does that sound attractive to you, or is that too old of an approach moving forward?
That's a great question. So that is something that we considered, is taking this fee-based approach on each of the transactions. However, one thing that we wanted to do is we wanted to keep trade and make it as simple as possible. We didn't want to deter trade because, as you know, sometimes these facilitators take quite a hefty margin off each of the trades. The main way we wanted to monetize WorldLink is through sponsorships. So as you know, there's a need for instance, lawyers and accountants in each of those set transactions. And that's why we think that they are the best possible sponsors. And that's why they've reached out to us for sponsorship room. So we feel like they will purchase a plot on WorldLink and market themselves on our website so that they become the facilitator of choice for each of these transactions. And that's how we will generate revenue and also provide value to our sponsors.
Thank you.
This is Rosanna. I have a quick question. So the success of this program is really going to depend on the quality and quantity of participants. And one of the issues in the beginning, at least, is getting companies to be the first ones to join, to see the value if there isn't anybody else that's participating. So have you planned for that or thought about that and developed any incentives to have that first round of potential partners and companies want to participate in this program?
Yes, thank you so much for your question. So that all really goes into what a change management strategy would look like. And it essentially revolves around the education piece. I mean, our companies, they can't join WorldLink if they aren't aware that it's there, quite frankly. I mean, how would you join something if you don't know that it's there? So that's what our main focus is with this piece. And what we'll be doing is utilizing the pre-existing communication channels that we already have established, meaning the World Trade Center of Buffalo, Niagara and their members, and informing them of this new service that they've automatically been added to. It's a new feature at no cost that's been added to their membership. So anyone who is already on and a part of the World Trade Center of Buffalo, Niagara is on this service. At this point, we realize that there may not be as much of a demand for it, let's say in the first weeks or so. And the way that we plan to mitigate this risk is through having some more informational sessions on it, allowing the businesses to explore and to be educated on what the benefits WorldLink are able to offer them. Because this tool is so unique, they've never utilized something like this before, so it's natural that there is some apprehension, which is why we've incorporated this into the change management strategy. So as we begin to roll out, just with the first First Nation, is we begin to roll out with Buffalo Niagara. We will ensure that the proper change management strategy is in place and that we're educating them through these informational seminars and utilizing those pre-existing communication channels.
Okay, and to follow up with that, what is the process if every member is just automatically added? What is the process that you're going to use to vet that they're ready to export, that they're looking for partners in various markets, that partners in particular markets that the company is looking for will be a part of the database as well?
Sure. Thank you so much for that question. I'll actually take you through a little walkthrough of the program if you want to go to the next slide. So here's the homepage of the WorldLink, the platform. And if you remember, like I mentioned, the member directory, like you mentioned in your question, they may be looking for a certain company or certain infrastructure of a company. And through the member directory, you have the ability to filter through the companies that are on there. And first, we're going to be starting off with World Trade Center, Buffalo Niagara. However, as we do expand, more and more businesses will be put on. So through filtering companies here, you have the ability to really narrow down the companies and see which companies that you're really looking for. Say for example, I want to look at Hebler Corporation. So I'm going to click on Hebler Corporation because I'm looking for fabrication. Once I click on Hebler Corporation, it's going to give me a ton of information. It's going to give me contact information. It's going to give me email information. So if I want to reach out, I have the ability to. If I have questions, I'm going to reach out to them. It also has a profile where you can access their website, look at their product catalog, look at their about section, and really get to know about the company, as well as their LinkedIn. If you really want to get to know who works there, you can see the owners, the employees, what they're posting on LinkedIn, the updated news, as well as their website, and being able to really utilize that information to develop a connection. And on the side, it also shows the offerings. So Hebler Corporation, they specialize in customized engineered solutions. They also have modular fluid processing, handling systems, concept development, engineering analysis, and 3D design. And say I really do want to work with Hebler Corporation. And what the WorldLink is going to help us do is link. So I'm going to click link. So now I have the ability to link with the organization. I have the ability to directly message Hebler Corporation and the representative and bring up my issues or bring up my concerns or what I'm looking for. I'm looking for this processing, and I really want to be able to have that process to message them. And through the COVID-19, it's been stripped of us to really interact with each other. So implementing this system on the platform is really going to give that ability to have the customized ability to really get what you see what you're looking for and obtain the knowledge that you need.
So you're planning on having this be a searchable database based on industry, location, and things like that. It's obviously not just going to be a list of companies that someone's going to go through without any further detail on that.
Correct. Yeah, as like the members, we'll have filter options where you get to filter because there's so many different organizations work with World Trade Center. And we want to give the businesses, because we understand that not a lot of users are tech savvy. So we really want to give that simplicity and the ability to really filter through and really find what they're looking for. Because at the end of the day, the easier we make it, the more work we do for them, the easier it'll be for our customers and clients.
I jump in on kind of piggyback off Rosanna's first question, which is the early stages of getting this up and running. They're doing something like this obviously has an upfront cost to it. Have you analyzed that cost, and have you also thought about how to get it paid for? I think you've done a great job with your numbers, and I actually believe the numbers that you put on the paper there. But we got to get it running. So have you thought about how to jumpstart the program?
Yes, absolutely. So we've come up with a budget for this WorldLink. So as you can see right now, we have the one-time cost of platform development that is $5,000. So this is the cost in the initial year that we will use to take WorldLink up and bring it to the next level. However, the main cost that we find will be a reoccurring one for WorldLink is this maintenance cost of $7,200, which equates to around $600 per month. This is something we need to focus on, as we need to continue to update our information to make sure that we can better serve all of our clients on WorldLink. And also we have allocated $2,000 to research and development, which can be put towards finding new clients and connecting with other trade centers so that they could be brought onto this platform as well and use their extensive list of networks. So that comes around with a budget of $14,200 $200. And this sounds like quite a lot, but the important thing to keep in mind is the fact that the sponsorship revenue that is so lucrative on this page will offset some of these costs. So by investing into WorldLink, you also gain a new revenue stream in terms of sponsorships, which you lost because of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Thank you.
It's Kevin here. The question for you on this is it's a two-part question. First of all, does your model differentiate between people that are buyers and sellers with the idea of income, as well as the idea of liabilities? So you're putting a lot of information onto a website that people have access to without having really a gatekeeper. Where a lot of times you'll go to your account development offices or your associations, you're dealing with a person who will vet you and then put you into contact and do an introduction. How do you see you implementing that sort of protection for people that are giving this information to this platform?
So sorry, it was a little bit to hear or hard to hear for the question. So could you just please just reiterate your question really quickly for me?
Yeah, definitely. Again, your costing model, is there a difference between buyers and sellers? Obviously, the more people buying, you will attract more sellers. The second part is liability of having this data there without actually having a presence there to vet the people going through and making sure that people aren't just mining information for other uses.
Absolutely. So first of all, with the pricing structure, what we simplified right now is, as my colleagues have also mentioned before, is a simplified process. So not necessarily having a different pricing model for specifically buyers and sellers, but generally just keeping that relatively the same, because we wanted to have same opportunities for buyers to buy, but then also for sellers to sell. So essentially that we're just trying to simplify as much as possible. Now, also another concern that you've mentioned is the vetting and making sure that we are able to provide the utmost value for the people who are going to be on this database. So what that comes down to is also our ongoing maintenance costs. Now, a part of these maintenance costs are allocated for concerns such as these. Now, maintenance costs is essentially to give us that room to not only uphold and maintain the database, but also for concerns just like this, where we want to be able to maintain the quality of the platform and also the information distributed on the platform. So that's how not only the pricing structure is fully answered by remaining equivalent for buyers and sellers, but then also to vet out and making sure that we have that quality of all the profiles that are on the website through our ongoing maintenance that is done to the website.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
This is Rosanna again. What is your timeline in terms of not just the launch, but having it be an actual robust database in terms of contacts and the potential to make matches?
Yeah, thanks so much for your question. So let me just take you through really quickly what our implementation timeline looks like. So we split it up into 3 different sections, first being the WorldLink, which is what your question pertains to. So we believe up until Q5, there's going to be up to development stages. The reason why we have so long for development is because we want to make sure that our software that we have is perfected before launching, because you can only make a first impression once. We don't want to launch something prematurely and then have our customers not see the value and experience some issues that may not have occurred if we would have waited longer. So that's the reason why we have development until that. And then at that point, we'll be doing some sandbox testing, followed by our launch. Now, once we're done launching, is one of our most important parts is analyzing. So we're going to be testing the metrics, testing the effectiveness, and polling some of the users of it to make sure that WorldLink is up to the standards that they expect, and that they're also getting the benefit that we are hoping to. So that analyze part is really one of the most important parts, in my opinion, of the implementation part.
So you're looking at like a 2-year timeline?
That's correct.
The platform you're going to use for the international trade and exclusivity, is it going to be similar to Alibaba and Japan's platform?
I can touch on that question. So in regards to, I guess like Alibaba, and essentially like that sort of platform, that's necessarily a marketplace, more so business style. Whereas this is necessarily just like a directory and essentially just an abundance of that information that you are able to access. This isn't necessarily something that will have direct abilities to facilitate those transactions directly.
Okay.
So that's where necessarily you can draw similarities with having that platform and having that information there, connecting those buyers and sellers. But regardless, it's not as necessarily as, I would say, transactional or as e-commerce focused as, say, for example, the Alibaba Group, AliExpress, Amazon, the list goes on and on.
Okay. With the bridge that you're going to be using to connect all the trade
Sorry,
centers
we're
together.
at time. I'm going to cut you off there.
Oh, sorry.
Unfortunately, if we were not able to answer your question, definitely feel free to follow up with us and we'd be able to answer any questions that you may also have pertaining to this plan.
I will do. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Team Brock. We are now going to move over to our next team.
Great, thank you, Justin. All right. A changing business environment has presented many new challenges for manufacturers and service providers. Good afternoon, esteemed judges, participants, and guests. On behalf of Niagara College, myself, Adam, Justin, and Greg would like to discuss with you the World Trade Center Buffalo Niagara's post-pandemic challenge and how creating a new business model will better serve manufacturers and trade service providers, not only today, but into the future. Our agenda for today is we'll be reviewing the problem, looking at the World Trade Center Buffalo Niagara's internal and external analysis, the factors impacting the future growth, what the new normal is, how will we increase revenues, our recommendations, and our plan for implementation. And I will hand it off to Adam.
Perfect. Thanks, Heather. Appreciate it. So when looking through the case study, we identified that the key problem with this case is that the World Trade Center of Buffalo Niagara has a need to create a new business model that is based on the new normal and digital platforms to do business under. Now, that being said, we did identify 3 subsequent categories, including identifying key issues for manufacturers and global service providers, creating a visual presentation that's key for the digital environment, as well as how to get it paid for and how to increase revenues moving forward. Now at that point, I'm going to move on and talk more about our internal analysis regarding the World Trade Center of Buffalo Niagara. So this organization operates within the Northern New York State and Southern Ontario region, and they offer consulting, education, events, networking, and visibility to their members. Now that being said, most of their members are either in the international business environment. They could be manufacturers, service providers, exporters, you name it. And when it comes to the actual payment schedule or the member schedule, there are different member tiers that they can join on, beginning at $350, moving up to upwards of $10,000 for their alliance memberships. Now that being said, I'm going to move on and pass things over to Justin to talk about our SWOT analysis.
Now, the World Trade Center Buffalo Niagara has a well-established network and expertise that can be shifted towards the digital platform already. Now, the main obstacle is that our competitors may have already established this digital infrastructure. Now, a minimal digital infrastructure in place would be contributing to the lack of digital revenue generators. So an added digital platform may provide multiple potential revenue generators that we have currently facing as an issue. So now moving towards our PESTEL analysis here, there's a survey that was made by the National Association of Manufacturers that shows that about 80% of manufacturers would face financial impacts due to closure. Now, politically, the borders will remain a challenge for manufacturers and service providers. However, the trending shift to e-commerce is massive, which may alleviate the necessity for physical businesses, at least for now. Because of the lack of cross-border movement, it's important to minimize these physical activities and strive to achieve the shift to business processing online. The emergence of multiple digital platforms nowadays creates remote working and other potential services easier to shift online, allowing us to minimize the need to develop one from scratch and not to have to worry about creating a new department who would take care of the IT services and troubleshooting alone. I would like to pass it now to Heather, who will talk more about the factors that would impact the growth.
Great, thanks, Justin. When we look at the factors impacting future growth, in the short term, there are many related to COVID due to government regulations, such as the shift from personal to virtual interactions, the border closures and limitation, and import and export restrictions. In the long term, many of the changes are based on technology. There's a shift from product to service provision, limitation on trade show, both in attendance and in offerings. And there's a shift from the information delivery systems and increased digital functions. We do find that the major factor here would be an increase in e-commerce, which Adam will jump into a little bit deeper.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Heather. So when we're talking about e-commerce, I think it's good to first talk about the growth regarding it. Now, in the US, total e-commerce sales over the year of 2020 increased by 44%. So definitely in the short term, things are looking good and there is a shift towards e-commerce applications. Now, that being said, regarding B2B business interactions, it's projected to reach 17% of total business-to-business sales are going to be through online applications and sales, whereas upwards to 44% by 2051. So in the long term, this plan is actually going to be very secure and there is growth within it. Now, that being said, this shift to e-commerce has definitely been through a paradigm shift, mainly caused by the COVID pandemic, where people have been shifting from personal interactions to virtual interactions. Now, that being said, borders will open up in the future and restrictions will be lessened. But that being said, there is likely still going to remain a stigma around mass group gatherings in the future, which has a major impact on trade shows and the opportunity for the World Trade Center Business Niagara's clients and members to actually operate and basically network and find new customers. Now, at that point, we're going to pass things on to Greg to talk about the new normal.
Thanks, Adam. So the World Trade Center's members have many challenges ahead of them as e-commerce becomes more prevalent and the way in which we do business continues to change. Data needs to be involved in the decision-making process from every aspect of a business, from advertising to manufacturing and everything in between. Virtual networking and video conferencing is likely to stick around long after the COVID restrictions are lifted, and businesses need to find new ways to make lasting connections with their stakeholders. Digital marketing channels like social media are no longer something that businesses can afford to neglect, given the relatively low costs associated with the large reach that it offers. So now we'll be moving on to how the World Trade Center can provide greater value to its members and local business by offering them the data and analytics tools that they need. Integrating a solution like Size Up Local Business Insights into the World Trade Center website, along with reporting and analysis from the World Trade Center staff, can provide truly local insights and give smaller businesses access to the big data that can help them guide their decisions. Leveraging the World Trade Center's existing network and relationships and hosting virtual trade shows is a way that they can fulfill their members' need for effective networking and create a revenue stream for themselves that is suitable for the digital business environment. Building a strong social media presence will be critical to the success of the World Trade Center in the future. Social media allows for both highly targeted advertising and organic growth. It's one of the most direct ways to deliver a message to a large audience, something that the World Trade Center will need to be doing as it grows its membership. We've put together a video example of the type of content that the World Trade Center can use to promote their services on social media. We'll be showing that to you now. Changing global markets in the past year resulted in a 44% increase in e-commerce. And because of this, World Trade Center Buffalo Niagara is expanding its services to better serve you and your business. We're now offering hyper-local data analytics and reporting as a service. Things like performance benchmarking, competitive intelligence, advertising analysis, and demographic analysis are all available. Log into your member account on our website and access the new World Trade Center Buffalo Niagara Data and Analytics service and get tailored reporting specific to your industry. And if you're not a member, don't worry, we have options for you to use the service as well. We're also hosting our first of many virtual trade shows. We've brought together some of the best vendors, buyers, and experts in the industry. Head on over to our website for information on tickets, and remember, our members get preferential pricing. Until next time, I'm Greg from the World Trade Center, Buffalo, Niagara. Thank you. So this is the type of easy to digest content that can grow awareness online around the World Trade Center and ultimately grow its membership. Now I'll be handing it over to Adam for some specifics on the virtual trade show revenues.
Great, thanks Greg, I appreciate that. So as per the case, it mentions that it's only a good idea if someone pays for it. And that's essentially what we want to do. We want to create new revenue streams for the World Trade Center that not only add value to the Trade Center itself, but also to its members. Now that being said, one of the key points in the case study is that a lot of these members don't have access to trade shows anymore or networking opportunities. Now, that being said, a lot of these numbers we're more than happy to talk about more in depth in the question period, but for now we'll get over basically the hump of them. Now, that being said, when it comes to a trade show, people who are used to going to them know that an average trade show can cost an organization anywhere up to $50,000, maybe even more, when it comes to the cost of getting there, your various expenses, your booth fees, vendor fees, etc. Now, that being said, we wanted to create a really attractive pricing model that we can basically advertise to various vendors, but also add value to our own members as well. So that being said, we're going to offer a vendor fee for the members that are already with the World Trade Center at $250, whereas non-members have a fee of $1,000. Now, this is actually a strategic pricing model because the actual membership fee to be a manufacturer in with the World Trade Center of Niagara is $750. So that being said, if you're going to pay $1,000 anyways, it makes more sense to become a member and a vendor. That way, we're going to create short-term income, but also long-term relationships with these individuals. Now, that being said, we researched a lot of the various different trade shows that are operating currently in a virtual environment, and we found that the average cost for an attendee at these virtual trade shows is around $20. So we use this as our pricing model for that. Now, again, we wanted to entice people to become members, so we're offering a $0 fee if you are already a World Trade Center of Buffalo Niagara member. Now, that being said, the potential revenue per trade show is roughly $32,000 to $52,000. And with more trade shows throughout the year, that level of revenue can increase quite exponentially. And another thing to mention is that when it came to the actual cost of this, the cost to actually run Zoom for a year and to have the ability to do this is going to be roughly $3,500. Whereas the cost to actually have 2 to 3 facilitators for this program is going to be about $900 for a weekend or whenever it's done, which equates to 13.78% of the total cost for that initial trade show. And that cost is going to decrease with every additional trade show you go to. At this point, I'm going to pass things over to Justin to talk about our analytics side of things.
All right, thank you, Adam. So on the data analytics side of the service, we would have our platform that would allow users to browse through our webpage, and it will ask a subscription model if they like to go deeper into an article. Now, this pricing model is based off of our Size Up service, which includes all of the data analytics and data analytics service. This service would be included to the champion membership holders and higher. For those with existing membership, we may offer this service additionally at $30 monthly or $300 yearly. And for those who are non-members, may access this at a $60 monthly or $600 yearly service fee. And for both members and non-members who are trying this out for the first time and are not sure if they want or will be able to use this kind of service, we would offer them a month free trial with the purchase of 1 month. And if they're not happy with it, they will get their money back. To gain more business, we would incorporate a referral program in the lines of a year free membership to every businesses that have successfully referred 10 and subscribed businesses. And at this point, I would like to pass it to Greg, who will be talking more about our recommendation.
All right, so just to summarize things here, our first recommendation for the World Trade Center is to offer local data and analytic content to its members as an extra service. Our second recommendation is for the World Trade Center to facilitate the new needs of networking by hosting virtual trade shows. And the final piece of our recommendation is that the World Trade Center needs to focus its marketing efforts on building a social media presence that can drive online traffic to their website and ultimately lead to a growth in memberships. Now I'm going to hand it over to Heather for our implementation schedule.
I'm sorry, Heather, just want to let you know you're muted.
Oh, Am
There
I
we
there
go.
now?
Yep.
Oh, sorry about that, gang.
You're good.
In terms of our implementation policy, we've worked it into an 11-week program. Because we've already engaged with the stakeholders and understand many of their concerns, we can go now and define the priorities, design a new business model, and set some new pricing strategy according to whether they're member or non-member participation. We're going to implement the new services and provide training for the staff to get ready to take care of the trade shows and the other online portals. They will roll out the services and they will ensure that there's visual ads to engage the customers and members through their online content, through the different forms of social media. And a big part of their focus will be focusing on getting ready to do these virtual trade shows. There's a lot of organization that goes into it. And then the first trade show will be happen in the last week of the first implementation plan. That kind of gives you a general overview of what we're thinking. We appreciate your time, and if you have any questions, we would love to answer them for you.
You judges, if you want to turn on your cameras and you can start asking your questions.
Well, thank you very much for the presentation. It was great. So your focus is basically a two-pronged approach, data analytics and trade shows. So I guess the question would be is how do you see the Trade Center differentiating itself from its competitors? Knowing that data analytics is a service is often given by economic development offices when you go into a new territory, and there are a number of competing trade shows at the time.
So I can. Oh,
sorry.
Go ahead, Adam.
Okay, fair enough. Well, that's a great question, Kevin, and we do appreciate it. So one of the key competitive advantages about the World Trade Center of Buffalo Niagara is that it is so interconnected to this region of Northern New York and Southern Ontario. So doing business with that region, you're going to get very tailored and specific data for your region that you're operating within. Now, a lot of this we based off the case study itself, and we found that a lot of the problems are actually between cross-border trade and basically between Canada and the US. Now, of course, the World Trade Center does have opportunities through its extensive network of different branches to offer opportunities elsewhere. But the nice thing is that it's a very recognizable name, very trusted, and the data and analytics are very centered on the industry specific that they operate within. At this point, I'll let Greg take the second half of that answer.
Yeah, and just to further, as far as the data analytics go, so our recommendation is it's a service called Size Up, and it offers basically real-time data on all sorts of industries, and you can basically search through their database and do things like whatever it is you want to find. You can find it by location or industry. So we think that giving people access to that is a good option, but really the main value in that is it gives World Trade Center staff access to all of that data as well. So they can do real-time reporting and updates on any type of local changes as they happen. And then that ties in with the social media too, because they can do basically abbreviated versions of the content and put it out there as kind of as an advertisement. And it just leverages the expertise that they already have.
Great, thank you.
Let me jump in on the trade show piece. Many World Trade Centers of our partners around the world, over the 300 World Trade Centers, are doing some version of virtual trade shows, and we've heard both in the World Trade Center network and outside the World Trade Center network kind of mixed reviews of them. Obviously, you know, there are benefits to the in-person trade shows that are intangible, that aren't written on the trade show program. It's the after-hours drink you have with someone that ends up being a client, those kind of things. What we've mostly heard, though, is that for the virtual trade shows, the most important thing to provide value is to have them pretty highly targeted. Did you give any thought to how to target these? We have an interesting and unique region that we have two countries that are very interconnected here. We have a great story to tell the world. How do we target that message to ensure that these trade shows provide value not only for us here, but for other markets looking to do business in our region?
That's a great question, Craig, and we appreciate you bringing it up. So when it comes to answering that question, it would actually be a mutual integration of the virtual trade shows themselves and the Size Up application. The nice thing about that Size Up portion of the strategy is that you can focus in directly on that specific industry, find which businesses are available, what leads are available, and then target them specifically. And then if you use that to actually create your highly targeted social media ads, you can actually target them so they follow up in their own feeds and they see them almost daily. So that does help when it comes to targeting specific industries. Now, another thing to mention is that through the membership list of members with World Trade Center already, there should be some type of database that actually shows what industry they're in. So that can help with finding vendors of your own. Moving forward though, certainly through social media and the use of Size Up, you can identify and target the specific market that you want to include in these virtual trade shows. And then on the side of things, where it comes to those interpersonal communications, the after-hour drinks and things like that, sadly, you know, you might be able to cheers over the camera, but you know, we sadly can't add that value. But a really nice thing about the Skype software is that you can create virtual breakout rooms. So later on in the day, vendors could have, or vendors or industries themselves can actually have breakout rooms that have mutual interest in them, so people can join them, have conversations with the right people, and move forward from there.
Thanks, Sam.
No problem.
Just to sort of piggyback off of that a little bit, the usefulness of trade shows is getting to the audience that you're trying to get information to or trying to attract. How are you planning to promote these shows so that you're attracting members or you're attracting attendees that are relevant to either the industry sector that you're focusing on or the region that you're focusing on?
Absolutely. Do you want to go first, Greg?
So I was just going to bring up, again, social media and the targeted type of advertising that you can do there. It's going to be a main part of it, and leveraging the already existing networks that the World Trade Center has and their strong brand name.
And one thing I will mention as well is that in this region in particular, between Southern Ontario and Northern New York, almost, maybe I shouldn't say almost all, but a lot of different industries and companies themselves are facing the same challenge of that, you know, the borders are closed down, they can't get in front of the people that they're used to getting in front of, which obviously is a curse, but in this situation of what we're trying to offer is a bit of a blessing to help with this. Not, you know, to some extent. Now, that being said, we can market as a way to get them back to that normal, I guess it would, you know, in this sense, it's the new normal of the virtual communications. And although it is something quite new to a lot of us, you know, with the past year, a lot of our communications have been virtual. This offers an opportunity to get in front of a larger audience and a specific audience that you would want to be in front of. Now, another thing we thought might be very advantageous to this route is to create multiple different trade shows throughout the year. And Justin, if you don't mind flipping over to that slide. With more trade shows, you actually increase the total annual revenue from them. But the nice thing about this is that you can actually target specific industries for those trade shows. So for the first trade show, it could be for logistics, companies or, you know, different manufacturers. The second trade show could be, say, for the restaurant food industry, in moving forward that way. So you not only service a lot of different vendors, but you create a lot of value that way as well.
So the potential revenue that you have listed there, so you're looking at if, let's say you get all non-members, because the math seems easier to do that way. You're thinking that you're going to have 32 companies participating, 32 to 52 companies participating in the virtual show?
Well, it depends on the trade show itself. The goal is to have a combination of both current members and non-current members in advertising it that way. Now, that being said, when it came to these numbers, we did look at the average amounts of people who attend trade shows. Now, as we know, some smaller trade shows could have maybe 50 attendees, where some of the larger ones, say in you know, Las Vegas or California, might have 50,000 over a weekend kind of thing. Now, the goal is really to, if we do it over a 2-day period, we can roll out certain vendors each day to open up more time for them and to be access to more people. But certainly we are hoping to have a larger amount of attendees and vendors. I believe the goal we said was to have about, like you mentioned, about 25 to 40 different vendors throughout a 2 to 3 day period.
It's a little unrealistic in terms of potential revenue.
Okay, well, I'd be happy to go through the numbers here. So again, the scaling between the different numbers there is based on the amount of attendees that do attend, where you see the scaling there, and then the amount of vendors themselves. So
I'm sorry, not to interrupt you, but these would be the potential revenue. Is that subtracting any cost that the World Trade Center has in terms of coordinating this?
That's a great question, Rosanna. So that is actually would be gross, not net. So when it comes to the net revenue, there would be some subtractions there. So the average, the annual cost for the Skype operations is going to be $2,700, where you're also going to need the large group option with that as well, which is an additional $804, which creates a total annual cost of $3,504 for the year. Now, we did look into the cost of people to run the event as well. So we actually researched the average cost of a facilitator, or the average annual income of a facilitator for the World Trade Center, which came out to about $54,000 annually. Now, if we break that down, we're expecting there to be about 2 to 3 facilitators and proctors, 1 main proctor, 2 facilitators to help make these breakout rooms. So that being said, we're looking at a cost of $900 to $1,340 per for 2 to 3 days. In that, breaking that down, it equates to 13.7, just under about 13.8% of the total revenue for the first trade show. Whereas moving forward, the cost of the Skype is a fixed cost, so that profit percentage will increase as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
No problem.
My question is the timeline for implementation.
Yes.
And you have an 11-week timeline, which is like a quarter, and and I'm thinking, any concerns about creating the content and delivering it in a time where in a matter of a few months it's delivered, you know, and can be effective. I worry about the timeline maybe being a little short in creating everything that you need to have created and have the foundation laid to have a meaningful event. Any thoughts to that?
Oh, absolutely. I don't want to keep stealing the spotlight, but I'm more than happy.
Well, as far as figuring out all the and organizing everything under the platforms and everything, it is I'm not going to say it's easy, but it's relatively a straightforward and simple process. So I guess the biggest possible issue as far as that would be getting the advertising and marketing and everything ready. So as far as it's difficult to give an exact timeline on that because it really depends on the capabilities of who's doing it and if it's internal or external, and you know, so that's a difficult one to give an exact time frame on.
If I might elaborate on that a bit further.
I mean, I'm coming from a direction of budgeting for the attendees as well, right? I mean, you know, you'll have to budget you'll have to set aside your budget to pick what events you want to spend. Yeah, you have to. I mean, people are picky with their spend nowadays, right? So, or less. It's pickier now than it was, right? Let's say that.
Of course, and you know what, they truly should be. They should only really invest in things that really add value to their business model. Now, when it comes to the virtual advertisements, and I guess you can say the training on the new services, first I'll talk on the virtual ads. The nice thing about using social media advertising is that you can actually create templates and plans that automatically send out over time. So really, you have one person delegated to it in one day, and they can select certain advertisements to go out over a month.
Where they're time release type of thing, right? Yep.
Exactly, time release in that manner. And when it comes to training on these new services like Skype and the other analytical service we would like to offer, the nice thing is that you don't have to allocate 4 weeks of them sitting down in front of the program. When it comes to Skype, the nice thing is that you can actually start integrating into your business operations where you can have internal meetings, you can operate your consulting services through Zoom with candidates who you might not otherwise be able to. So that is a progressional training method that over that amount of time, we expect by the 4-week period them to be good to go.
Okay.
As far as that, it does help minimize the costs associated with training.
And the data content that you will be offering is sourced from our own customer base, where they populate that material, the members can see that, or is it by?
So for our for the data and analytics service, that we plan on integrating this company. It's called Size Up, and they offer local business insights. So essentially, where the World Trade Center would be offering its members kind of like almost like a collective membership to access the big data.
Understand.
Yeah, and then the nice thing about that is it gives the World Trade Center staff really great opportunities to give the local communities some really good insights on what's happening in real time.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you. I'm gonna play that.
Ashika, how are we doing on time?
Like 7 seconds left.
7 seconds. Anybody got a 7-second question?
Approximately, yes.
Okay, we're at time.
Wow, great day. Very close, great presentations. Unfortunately, you have to listen to me give a flurry of thank yous to people before before I'll announce the winner. But this event has a lot of moving parts, so we want to make sure everybody gets recognized for their work. So first and foremost, to all the students, I appreciate all of your work on this. As I said in each of the individual sessions, this is our first virtual case competition, which has a different kind of preparation for it. So we appreciate you participating with us, first of all, but then also the added work that you had to do to do it in a virtual format. I will say that I reached out to all the schools very reticently in the fall, knowing that while we're dealing with a lot in the business world as far as sustainability and getting up and running and looking to the future, we know the schools are all doing the same thing with virtual environments, hybrid models of in class and out of class and social distancing. There was a lot to getting the spring semester started. So we reached out and said, look, we know you're going through a lot, but we would really like to do this competition again. And we got a resounding yes. So that was a great vote of confidence. We were pleased that the schools we're interested in doing the case again. I hope that for all of you that participated today, you're going to remember it as a great experience, and and talk to your folks about participating in the 4th competition next year, which who knows may or may not be virtual again. We'll find out at some point, won't we? Depends on a lot of it. I think it probably less depends on I think people feel like the COVID rules might be different, but the border, we got to find out if the border is going to be open since we're a binational competition here. So, and even in that, we did move the date around because normally we do at the beginning of February, but because of delayed starts to the spring semester, we moved it to mid-March. The case that we came up with today that you did such a great job on, we appreciate one of our board members who was actually one of our judges, Kevin Jacoby, helped us brainstorm that right from the beginning as we were looking to see what we were going to do this year, and it was perfect for us because it was very, very timely in a situation and an issue that not only we're dealing with, but all of our partner World Trade Centers, and not to put too fine a point on it, chambers of commerce, manufacturing associations, everyone's dealing with the same thing. So many organizations their finances are bound by one giant event throughout the year, a gala dinner or a golf outing, and it's just in 2020 that was non-existent. So everyone had to find a new path forward. So we appreciate your digging into this for us. The dealing with canceled live events, coupled at the same time as our members, the companies are having the same kind of challenges within their organization. So our members went into conservative mode when it came to memberships and sponsorships, and so it was this perfect storm of financial challenges. At the same time, I would argue, and Ashika and I have spent a lot of time talking about this, our work actually became more important. Our work over the last year revolved a lot around a lot of help desk work, which was, rather than companies looking 5 years out at this point, they're like, what can I do right now? Who can you connect me with? What networks can I help make? And that's a lot of work to fill those needs. So essentially, when Kevin proposed the topic to us, we looked at it as a put your own mask on first philosophy, whereas we're going to be in a better position to take care of our members if we make sure that we're in a sustainable place first. So quick case overview. We asked the students, the student teams, to do 3 things for us. One was identify the issues that our members are facing right now. And our members are manufacturers, they're service providers, they're agencies. Everyone's in, we've said it many times over the year, we're all in this together, and we truly are. There's so many things that all of us are facing. So identify one of these issues. Second piece of the puzzle was to create a program / business model. The responses we got today, some of them were overarching on the business model, and some of them were a very specific program. And I think both approaches were spot on. But create a program that World Trade Center can provide that will be of a benefit to our members to answer the challenges that we laid out in step 1. And then the third piece was very important for us, was how to pay for it. We put right in the document, and I think the Niagara College folks actually put it right on one of their slides, which is, it's only a good idea if someone's willing to pay for it. Ashika and I and our board, we have lots of great ideas that we can do to support our members, but they have to be sustainable and fundable. And that was a very important part of this this presentation. So thank you all for digging into that for us. And we're thrilled with the way the presentations went. So now I'm going to dig into my thank yous. First of all, I want to thank all the judges that we had today, and I'm actually going to take a minute to read all their names, if you'll humor me for a second. And there's some stories in here. So thanks to, just in alphabetical order, Joe Birdie from Speed Global Services, Steve Briggs from Dynabraid. Steve is also the chair of our organization. Rob Clark from Rich Products, who has been with us from the beginning. Crystal Eden from the World Trade Centers Association, Kevin Jacoby from Canada BW, Rosanna Masucci from the U.S. Department of Commerce. Rosanna has also been a judge all 3 years. Brigitte Miranda Freer from World Trade Center Montana. We were very thrilled to bring in some of our colleagues, given the relevance of the situation of the case to their operations as well. David Morales from Liberty Pumps. Lise Moreau from International So-Right, Lynn Oswald from the Niagara County Small Business Development Center, Lauren Skellinger from M&T Bank, Lee Smout from World Trade Center Toronto, another of our colleagues, Linda Soltis from the Canadian Consul General New York, and I was the final judge. One of the great stories that comes out of this is Lise Moreau from International So-Right is a graduate of our TAP, our Trade Accelerator program. David Morales from Liberty Pumps is a graduate of our Global Business Academy program. So we're thrilled to actually have some, the continuity of the programs we're running throughout the year have manifested themselves into this competition, which is great, and we're thrilled about that. I want to thank our sponsors, because they're the ones that make this possible. Rich Products, and all 3 actually have been sponsors from the beginning, all 3 years, which is a great testament to the value of what we're doing here. Rich Products, Dynabraid, and Calamar have all been such great supporters of this competition, and we're thrilled that they were able to do so again this year. I want to thank all of you, the students, and your presentations, and actually something that I hadn't intended to say this morning, but was offered throughout the day. So Crystal Eden from World Trade Centers Association, after she judged this morning, contacted me offline and said that all of you that participated today are welcome to participate in the World Trade Centers Association's General Assembly program, which is April 26th through 30th. So lots and lots of content, lots and lots of networking, and you are able to do so as members of our organization. So the registration for that is not online yet, but we will communicate that with you. I highly recommend, and I know with your semesters, that might be right in the middle of exams and things, I highly recommend if you can jump in on some sessions. It's a 4-day program, so there's a lot. You're not going to sit there for 4 days. But if you can jump in on some programs, it's a great opportunity for you. So thank you to Crystal. Thanks to Robin for offering that to the students. I want to thank the school reps who have been just such a great resource for us putting the program together, getting your teams involved, getting the squads together for the competition. It's been a huge help. Especially letting us bounce ideas off of all of you for for the logistics, for the virtual environment, and it's been a huge help. So thanks to all of you. Finally, my last thank you, I want to thank Ashika, because this is a huge program to put together, and you have no idea how much work she's put into it. And I'll say it now, because I'm confident we can make it through the rest of this nicely, but everything went really well today. And Ashika, thank you for putting all the pieces together and making this such a great program. So with that, all my thank yous are out of the way, and it's time to announce the winner. I'm very pleased to announce that in a very close, I'm doing it American Idol style with a little hang on here, in a very close, an incredibly close decision, Brock University is our winner for the 3rd year. This is their three-peat, which I think I have to, doesn't Pat Riley own the phrase three-peat, but congratulations to Brock. Again, very close decision, a lot of debate in both judging rounds actually, but congratulations to the Brock team, and we will be in touch with you to set up actually your time with Robin again, which I encourage you to take great advantage of. He's a fount of knowledge, and it'll be a great session for you. That is all the program we have today. Ashika, any final thoughts?
Yeah, so actually Rosanna has volunteered some of her time to give some feedback to the teams if they want to stick around, and then the other judges too, not to throw you under the bus or anything there, but if you are available also and want to provide some feedback, and if you have a few minutes, then stick around.
Great.
Well, how would I get in touch with Rosanna again after today's event?
We can make that happen.
Can you? I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
So if you'd like to stick around and hear some feedback, you're welcome to. Otherwise, that's the end of the formal program for today. Again, congratulations to Brock. Thanks to Niagara College. Great job by both teams, and to Canisius and Damon College earlier. We appreciate you being with us, spending the time and the work that you put in. So thank you.